Yeah, we back. Now, I have a lot to say on the topic, so I'm just going to jump right into the footage. And as you know, I'm going to come back with my commentary. Let's go.
I wasn't the girl that ever went to prom. Like, my boyfriend was 30 when I was in high school. I know my mother was crazy, but you know what? I would never, ever let I mean that in a good way. Like, she was an artist. She was like, well, if that's who you love, baby. And he was so good to me and kind and like, you right? And he did it the right way. He went to her, he was from Oman. He went to her and he said, I love your daughter and I want to date your daughter. And he asked permission. Look at your face. You're like, that ain't happening with my baby.
Now, we back. Now, I forget what video it was, but I remember on my channel, I had said that if my father wasn't around, I would have been the man of the house by the time I was 14, 15, 16. Because I was already taller than my mom, I was already stronger than my mom, and my mom wouldn't have been able to contain me. Why do I say that? During this interview with Nia Long, I don't know where this clip is from or what platform that she's on, but she mentioned that her mother gave her the blessing, right? Her mother gave her blessing when she was in high school, and this 30-year-old creep came by talking about, I want to go date this young girl, probably 16, 17, I don't know how old she was, right? But the first thing that came to my mind was, I noticed that Nia Long didn't mention anything about how her father felt about the situation, what her father said about the situation. Her father didn't give her the blessing. Her father wasn't around. Where was he during this time, right? I noticed that she said, well, my mother gave me the blessing, said, follow my heart, do whatever I want to do. But what did your father say? Where was he at? And it goes back to what I said previously about how if my father wasn't around, I would have been running the household by the time I was a teenager and my mother wouldn't have been able to contain me. Ask yourself this. Could a 30-year-old man come to another grown man and say, I want to date your young daughter that's currently enrolled in high school? Could a grown man come to another grown man and look him in the eye and say that he wants to date his daughter? Could that happen logically without a physical altercation popping off immediately? I'm telling you, man, when a man is not around, when the man of the house is not around, it's as if the doors of the house are unlocked. It's as if the windows are wide open and you could just crawl through. It's as if the alarm system for the security has been disabled. When a man is not around, it's free reign. It's free reign to do whatever it is you want to do. And let me tell you this, when I was coming up in high school and college, I operated differently. I operated much differently when it came to the girls who had no brothers, had no fathers around, in comparison to the girls who did have brothers around, who did have fathers around, who did have uncles around, who did have some men around them, forming that protective barrier. I was way more respectful with the girls who had a brother, had a cousin, had a father, had an uncle, in comparison to the girls who had no male protection, had no male supervision, where there was no man around, no father around, no brother around, no cousin around, no uncle around. You know, deep down, brothers, y'all know I'm spitting facts. You know, with those girls, you could treat them a little differently than the girls who, you know, she might have backup, right? Her father might come see me. Her brother might come see me. You see, that 30-year-old guy, not only was he a weirdo because he couldn't really get no young fine chick, 22, 23, 24. He had to go to a chick, 14, 15, 16. So you already know he was probably broke, probably destitute, down on his luck, probably at a level in life where the only thing he could give her was McDonald's. Probably took her to McDonald's, got a Happy Meal, got a burger every couple days a week, man. And me, I was born in the mid-90s. I went to private school, so I don't really have the same story of how dudes would say when they were leaving school, the girls would get picked up by the older dudes. I don't really share that same experience. Now, my older cousins do, right? My older homies do. They said when they were young, the girls would get picked up by the older dudes, things like that. I don't got that same experience, but I think Nia Long comes from that generation, that older generation where that was seen as normal. But for that to be seen as normal, it's because there are no men around. There was no man around. Because in my opinion, I cannot fathom a reality where someone could come to the house, right, and my sister in high school and talk about, I want your blessing to date your sister that's currently in the 10th grade, 11th grade, right? This 30-year-old dude. What the hell? I could never imagine a reality, nor could I imagine a reality where they actually were given the blessing. And now Nia Long, she tries to rationalize it, right? She said, oh, I would never. Man, yeah, sure. Yeah, I guarantee your mother probably said the same thing. Yeah, I would never. And then she did it. At the end of the day, society likes to minimize the role and the importance of men. But when men are not around, chaos ensues. When men are not around, it's anarchy. When men are not around, it's a lawlessness. When men are not around, it's a free-for-all. There's no reality where a man is getting up, going to work every day, paying the bills, supporting his family, and he's going to allow some 30-year-old creep to go slide off with his 15, 16-year-old daughter. It doesn't happen, bro. It doesn't happen. It only happens because Nia Long, matter of fact, let me do some research on Nia Long's background, because I simply don't believe that she had both parents in the home. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Not at all. Now, it does say that she did have a father. Her father is apparently still alive, if I'm not mistaken. He goes by the name of Daughtry Long. But just as I expected, yes, Nia Long, her parents divorced when she was a toddler, when she was a child, and then her mom left the state and she grew up with her mom alone in another state, I believe in California, and her father was all the way across the country in New Jersey. Just as I expected. Her father was not at home. Her father was across the damn country on the East Coast, and she was all the way in California. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, it is what it is. Just as I expected. I knew this would never happen with a man around, because a man would never be so bold and disrespectful to slide through and show his face around the house and ask for the blessing. He knows a man is not around. He knows a father's not around. He know a brother is not around. And I mentioned it before on my channel, bro. Listen, I'll throw my life away for my sisters, man. I'll throw it away. Let any one of you dudes try to play with my sisters, man. It's over for you. It's over for you, and it's gonna be over for me too. But I already accepted that. I already signed up for that. I have no problem with that. And I told my sisters the same thing. Listen, don't ever put me in a position to where I would have to sacrifice myself, because I'm very self-aware. I know my personality, I know my capabilities, and I know what I'm capable of doing. And unfortunately, cases like Nia Long are common, man. When a man is not around, when there is no barrier of protection formed by the men in the family, it's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. It's like the security system on the alarm been disabled, and the doors are wide open, the windows are wide open, everything unlocked. It's like an abandoned house. You could just walk right in, set up shop, just start squatting inside. That's exactly what it is. Because for this guy to get the blessing from her mother, he essentially became the man of the house, right? So he essentially came, and now he's squatting in another man's territory. This is another man's territory, right? This is another man's mother of his child and his daughter. But her father was all the way across the country. And because her father was all the way across the country, her parents were divorced. Her father was not around to form that protective barrier, which allowed him to feel comfortable walking inside, because everything was unlocked. Everything was wide open, like I mentioned before. So it's a shame that Nia Long was confident to say this out in public, especially with how people crucified R. Kelly. And that hypocrisy was crazy, because I feel like a lot of people that were crucifying R. Kelly, at the end of the day, when they were young, when you go back in their history, man, they were engaging in the same behavior as Nia Long and all the rest of them, man. And regardless if Nia Long's parents were divorced, it was her father's responsibility to still form that protective barrier around his daughter. He left his daughter unguarded. It's like leaving your car unlocked with the windows wide open. He left his treasure unguarded, and somebody came and snatched it up because it was not secured. It is what it is, man. So her father failed. I'm not saying that her father was a failure, but in that aspect, when Nia Long was coming of age in her teenage years and she was not protected, she had no protective barrier around her, her father failed. Now, I don't know why they divorced. I don't know why her parents divorced. That's their business. But at the end of the day, man, it's on us as men to form that protective shield around the women in our families. And if something happens to them, if we allow foreigners, if we allow outsiders, if we allow enemies to breach the gates, if we allow outsiders to invade the territory, that's on us. So at the end of the day, Nia Long's father, you got to hold this L. In that aspect, you failed your daughter. I'm not going to say you failed her in totality, because as you can see, she still made something of herself. But in that aspect, you failed your daughter. And if I were you, yeah, I'd be feeling away. That I allowed some 30-year-old creep to just slide through and just set up shop with my daughter when she was a teenager, man. I could never imagine it, man. But anyways, it's your boy Neferkari Desalegn back in the building. Yes, indeed. Like, share, subscribe, Cash App in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in that ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching me blocking my vision. Get for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This shit is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you in court. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so at least. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands, cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.